Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Gadget Nation and me, Adam Carruthers. Very excited because we're back here at KL Convention Center for something really exciting. Perhaps we'll show you slightly later on in the episode. Of course, plenty more content today as well, so let us start the show.
Samsung Electronics has announced the 5th generation of the Galaxy S series, the Galaxy S5 early this week at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. Despite its familiar design, the Galaxy S5 has a few new useful hardware features, including a fingerprint scanner, heart rate sensor, and a toned-down TouchWiz UI on the top of Android 4.4 KitKat. On the same event, Samsung introduced the Samsung Gear Fit Super AMOLED wearable device for the active consumer. The Gear Fit will be available globally starting from April this year. Digi Telecommunications Sdn Bhd has announced 4 winners of the ideation phase of the 5th Digi Challenge for Change program. More than 2,500 mobile app ideas were submitted online across the 4 categories. The 4 winning ideas are Checker Prize, One Auto, Jalan Jalan, Running Post, and a special DigiZen's Choice Selection, My Bungee.
Mobile phones, it's really a cutthroat business, and it's been a while since we've seen something that really challenges the norm. So there's one phone which is rather hard to find here, but we managed to get our hands on it. It's the LG G2, not the Pro or anything, but just the G2, one of the best ranked phones that you can get for Android worldwide. Now, what makes it different? What makes it stand out? For one thing, check this out. The power button and the volume button are on the back. Interested? Let's get a full in-depth review. It's been a while since we've seen a phone device from this brand. It's LG, and I have to say, it's rather nifty. Now, I should add, this is extremely hard to find here at time of recording, but we managed to source one. And you know what? I really wish this was more readily available because it is a fantastic Android device, which I'm holding right here. Lots of innovative features which make it stand out amongst the competitors out there. For example, well, the Galaxy S4. That would be a good prime example because of the sheer shape and size of this device right here. I have to say, this is the G2. Not sure what the G stands for in this, but plenty to love about it and a very unique design. The question is, how much of this is actually like bloatware? How much of it is actually necessary? And how much of this makes it stand out? Let's talk first about this rather unique design. Now, on the face of it, like such, it may look pretty much like your average Android smartphone, but when we take a look at the sides and stuff, that's when it gets a little bit different. Take note, there is absolutely nothing there. Nothing, absolutely. On the other side, there's a little something you may notice where you can put in your SIM card. That's it. And at the base, we have the speaker grills, we have the headphone jack, and of course, the charge point, the USB point right there. Apart from that, there is nothing, not even at the top. So where does everything go? Well, as a matter of fact, onto the back. Right there, we have a 13 megapixel camera with a flash, and you may notice what's below here. The button, that silver one right in the middle, is actually the power button. Above it and below it, we have the volume rocker as well. Now, this makes a lot of sense. So supposing you have a phone call like such, you could actually just lower the volume like that, or down. You may actually be able to hear it on my microphone as well. And one cool thing that's added by LG to ensure that you kind of forget about the power button being there is double tap the home screen when it's locked and you can unlock it. Simple, right? If you're thinking about locking it as well, on your home screen, find an empty part of it and double tap and it switches off just like that. It's become really easy. Double tap, double tap. So popular that I heard LG are going to implement it onto most of their other phones as well. A very, very nice touch. Now, these button combinations can be used for other things. For example, if I was to hold up on it while the camera is locked, it'll open the camera. The phone is locked rather. If I was to hold the power button and the down button for the volume, it will actually screen capture what's on the screen as well. So little things like that are very good to bear in mind. Now obviously, there's also a camera at the front, like you can see there, and you may have probably gathered that you cannot change the battery, it's all sealed in. Now, one advantage of all of this, having everything at the back, is you make it very slim. It is really, really nice to hold in your hands. It feels not too light, not too heavy, and it's cool. Now, one of the beautiful things about this device, apart from the actual design, which I've grown to love, is the screen itself. It's an LCD with an LED backlight. It's IPS as well, full HD, and it is an absolute joy to use. I mean, it's highly responsive. It works well, it's got good viewing angles because it's an IPS, and it really, really does stand out. I mean, if you're watching video on this, looks superb. Pictures, browsing the internet, reading text, whatever you use your phone for, this will definitely stand out. It is one of the best screens I've ever used on an Android device and a mobile phone device, full stop. So if you get a chance to just take a look at the screen, it really, really stands out a notch above the others. What about the audio, etc.? Well, the audio is pretty cool, I have to say. I mean, it can play high bitrate audio. It plays other lossless sound quality files as well. However, if you're going to stream it on USB or Bluetooth, it won't be that quality. If you plug in the headphone jack, however, it does sound very, very, very nice indeed. Another thing I have to add, going back to the screen, is things which you can use with gestures. It really, really is nifty. I mean, things that you might not even realize. If the phone is down and I get a phone call, if I pick it up, the volume will lower it by itself. Now, that just makes sense. You don't need it to get louder or stay at a high ringtone the closer you bring it to your ear. So obviously that makes a huge difference. It's just the little things which accumulate to make this really, really nifty. In fact, some of these gestures like multitasking, swiping with 3 fingers, etc. on this are more responsive and work better than a lot of the other Android devices out there. That's just my opinion. Also, what about the camera? I know obviously that's a big selling point for a lot of people nowadays, and I did briefly mention it's got a 13 megapixel camera on the back. It does a pretty nifty job. It's highly subjective. I really like it. I think the picture quality is really good in low light settings, etc., and it's done a fantastic job. At this point, I have to compare the Google phones to this as well, the Nexus 4, the Nexus 5, because that's built by LG. So if you've used one of the Nexus phones, I can safely say the camera on this is better. However, I mean, it's hard to compare with something like the iPhone 5 or the 5S, but at 41 megapixels, we've reviewed the phone on the show. Well, you can see why not many can, and I don't see it being toppled anytime soon either. Saying all that, the video as well, it's pretty cool. As we've seen in some phones, you can capture from the front as well as the rear camera, so you can film your reaction as to what's happening there. Another cool effect is the ability to pick up sound from far away, which you can do after you're recording as well. Little touches like that make a huge difference, I have to say. So the internals of this, I haven't even touched on that, are really, really powerful. I mean, it's using Qualcomm's Snapdragon 800 running at 2.26 gigahertz with 2 GB of RAM. So it really is setting a very, very high benchmarks in terms of what's inside. There's little things like, which will come with the phone, like Q Slide and multitasking and stuff. With that amount of power underneath, it seamlessly switches between everything because it's just so powerful. It's also LTE, and one thing which I haven't mentioned is the battery life. It's also fantastic. It's a big selling point for LG and for many consumers. It's 3000 mAh. I mean, that's almost up there with the likes of the Note 2 when it first came out. Not quite the Note 3, which boosted it even more. Definitely comparable to the Note 1, which has a bigger screen. This is 5.2. And you know what? It really, really does go a long way. Yes, the screen may take a lot because of its thin design. It goes literally from edge to edge, like you can see right there. Big screen, thin design, but a lot of battery life, and it should last you easily a day. Perhaps the power might be a little bit too much for the average consumer. That isn't really an issue in my opinion, because for me, the more power, the better, but you just know this is not going to stumble at whatever you throw at it, be it apps or multitasking, multiple apps, etc. For me, the biggest letdown on this is, well, I always like expandable storage. I always like the ability to change my battery as well. So the model that we have is a 32 GB. There's a 16 GB version as well. If you include all the software, you're not going to have much room to play with in that aspect. So obviously that's a minor setback. If you really need micro SD and stuff, then this phone might not be for you. But if you are the type of consumer that loves to have a lot of power, if you are actually a power user that will demand a lot from your phone in terms of battery life and processor, this is a very, very good option indeed, with a solid camera and solid specs, in fact, very high-end specs all around. I highly recommend this. It is right up there in terms of Android phones with the likes of probably the HTC One. At time of recording, they haven't announced the new HTC or the S5, so I can't compare to those. But at this point in time, definitely one of the best.